So, yes, welcome. First of all, yes, what am I talking about today? I prepared a presentation, but also discussion regarding inspiring societal change through cross-innovation as a dynamic and practically orientated concept. And well, it will be a mix of presentation and discussion, asking questions, so that we have some time to just elaborate on some things. Yeah, I'm Daniel Thorpe, and I'm working at Fraunhofer Institute for System and Innovation Research in Karlsruhe. And I'm working on various kinds of paths to innovation, and cross-innovation is one of it. And the idea is to, before we talk about cross-innovation as a dynamic and practically oriented concept, the idea is to revisit some popular narratives about innovation that we have in media, but also society in general, because I feel that this is very important to contextualize also cross-innovation. So the base to really have a sound foundation for cross-innovation is also to basically understand the broader landscape of innovation and how we actually talk about innovation. So what are the basic narratives that we have in society? And when you look at this image here on the right-hand side, so we have this robot with an umbrella and many ones and zeros falling from the sky. The ones and zeros, of course, represent the digital age, and the robot probably as well. So just to add to your suggestions, I would say it could also mean, yeah, that it is our future, or that we are victims of technology. So this is one interpretation people could have, that because you said that the umbrella is like a kind of protection of too much data coming from the sky. It could also mean that machines and AI, I think this picture image is very much about artificial intelligence, is basically yeah, the future. That's something that we have to endure. It's overtaking everything, taking over everything, sorry. And another interpretation that I had actually is that technology is just from the sky, so that we can't do very much. They're just falling from the sky, they're there, and yeah, we are the victims. So, and that's actually the narrative that is still very common, and many authors in the social sciences describe this narrative, and are actually trying to counter this narrative since the 1960s. But it's very, very entrenched narrative in society. So the narrative that a technical innovation suddenly appears and causes important things to happen. So one of the most common examples in literature is the printing press. So the printing press is always related to the Reformation, the happening of the Reformation. So the basic equation is no Reformation, printing press, Reformation. So that's what we call a determinist narrative. So it's very much focusing on the technology just appearing and all the consequences that the technology has. And we often find that in society, people have an extreme position. So either people say, oh, we need this technology, that's the future, we need it. There's no other way to do it. And it can help us achieving, climate protection, whatever. But there's also the opposite, that people say, no, this is dangerous. They will destroy humanity, whatever. People will lose their jobs. So we often have two extremes that we find in society, and these extremes are supported by determinist narratives, basically. So another narrative that we often find is that, for example, the internet is supporting globalization. is speeding up globalization, or that social media, we are victims of social media, that we lose a lot of time every day because using Instagram, Facebook, whatever, or that social media is used to observe us like Big Brother, or to manipulate people like in elections or whatever. On the one hand, there is a narrative about social media, but social media is also used to create determinist narratives, like Marta said. So this is, especially social media and media are very, very strong in producing narratives. And people, yeah, and they're often very determinist. So when you look at newspapers, often you can read that, like, digitization. Everybody needs digitization, especially schools. But this is very determinist. So is this really the case? Is there no other way to do things? And this is without assessing the technology, of course. But the idea is to get rid of this determinist thinking. So what social scientists try to achieve since the 1960s is, and they're right now, so far they are failing because the determinist narrative is still very strong, to actually put the focus on the human behind technology. So the focus on the genesis instead of the consequences of technology. Because way too often we forget that there's us human beings behind every technology. And that's what I mean. Technologies, of course, they don't fall from the sky. They're produced, co-produced in a very, very complex social setting by human beings. Like this lady engineer here on the picture. Yeah, so. And there are implications, especially for cross-innovation. And I feel that's why it's quite important for actors in cross-innovation to keep in mind that we have this determinist narrative in society, to actually be able to counter this narrative and to create a stronger basis for their own cross-innovation activities. So the first implication is that we should focus on technology as support and not talk about technology as a solution, because technology can never be a solution. Technology can only help us, human beings, in achieving some goals that we have, like fighting climate change. But the technology definitely is not the solution to climate change. It's much more complex. It involves societal change, behavioral change. So far, the common narrative was, and I just read the quote, the determinist position is characteristic of a lot of progressive thinkers. For example, in traditional Marxism, who claimed technology serves the fulfillment of universal natural or biological needs and ends all people have, and it follows an automatic and determined path of progress. So this is really a very strong way of thinking that some actors still have, even actors within academia from time to time, like in the hard sciences, that they believe that the belief in technology is so strong that they think it's progressing on a path, on a linear path, and one day we will all be, we will not have any problems anymore on this planet. The second implication for cross-innovation, I think, is that there is a new chance to focus on creativity and critical thinking along the way, if we support this or counter this idea of the determinist narrative. So and what is the task then for cross-innovation? I feel that actors in cross-innovation should consider themselves a source of inspiration for a collective vision and very important questions, because especially actors in cross-innovation can ask very important questions to society, but also create a vision. But the foundation for that is to understand the persistent narrative. to understand that many people in society still stick to a strong narrative. Whether it's not only people, but actors, like collective actors, whether it's media, companies. When you look at how companies talk about their technologies that they are producing, it's often determinist. And when you look at how media presents technological innovations like the iPhone or Tesla, it's incredibly deterministic because it's always about one person, and people forget that it's much more complicated. Is it really only Otto Lilienthal who invented the first little aeroplane? Is it Elon Musk who's behind Tesla or Jack Ma? No, it's a bunch of people. It's a very, very complex social setting, and I feel that we need to get rid of this very simplistic equation, nothing plus one person equaling change through technology. Rather, it's people and their ideas plus time, plus place, plus communication. They create a problem-solving change. And that can be technology, that can be processes, that can be services. Because, of course, it's not only about technology, but it can also be a process, or it can be a service that is created by cross-innovation. And yes, that's why, so understanding this narrative is quite important. And before I continue, please, if you have any comments on this or any questions, feel free to say something. Just interrupt me. You don't need to lift your hand, just switch on your mic and interrupt me. And it's also important to understand, because when we look at cross-innovation, we primarily talk about the creative and cultural industries connecting to companies like industries, other industries. But the innovation landscape is really, really complex. And this is the second thing that actors in cross-innovation should appreciate to then build a very strong position for the work. So when we look at cross-innovation, it will, of course, not happen in isolation. On the left side, just to recap, you will find an inverted pyramid, which shows the very entrenched position that we still often have. So society is somewhere in the middle, technology is on the top, and cross-innovation is at the very bottom. So technology rather leading to cross-innovation than the other way around. And this is the perspective that we should work for. Society is setting the frame. So society is a strong basis for cross-innovation. Because of course in society we have discourses like climate change, which is the biggest discourse that we have right now, and probably the most important. Then cross-innovation is somewhere in the middle. And on the top, it's leading to technology. And of course, this is a dialogue between, this is not unidirectional, this goes in both directions. So society influencing what technologies, the path of technology, but also the other way around. And in the middle, you will find that, so when you look at here, the basis, the foundation is society, that many actors in the innovation landscape are in between society and the innovations that we develop. And of course, cross-innovation, the idea of cross-innovation is great, but it's not happening in isolation. So we have many established ways of innovating, complex ways that are hard to describe, but also, of course, like R&D departments in companies, NGOs, the creative and cultural industries, without the component of cross-innovation, research and technology organizations, universities, and many, many other actors. So keeping this in mind seems quite important, because in the end, it's very much about, when we look back at the equation, it's very much about connecting to people. So it's about the component of time, place, but also communicating. And I just want to recap that technology's path is neither determined nor automatic. So it's far from that. It's us who are creating technologies, innovations, and it seems quite important to understand that, to have a stronger argument for connecting to other actors, but also explaining ideas to potential people outside who can use technologies. So the consequence is power to the creative people, but how? You already have a lot of power, but it can be further supported. And when we look at the equation that I showed to you, down here, people and their ideas, plus time, plus place, plus communication, leading to problem-solving change. It seems quite important to focus on these three aspects: time, place, and communication. Because, as I said, we need to counter this idea that there's only one person behind scientific discoveries or technological innovation. This is a very strong narrative that we have. Whenever we talk about new technologies, it's always one person who is representative for this technology. Like, many people believe that Elon Musk is, building cars, sending space probes to space, but he's doing all these things. But eventually he's only a manager. He's behind a huge social network of many, many hardworking people who you will never see on television or in the news. And the same with all the other people on media. Most famous probably, of course. Well, let me ask you, can you think of a representation of a technology with only one person behind it? In addition to Elon Musk, Otto Lilienthal, and Jack Ma. There are some good examples out there. Any? Let me ask you, what is your? Do you have an Android phone or an iPhone?
I'm just thinking of my iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's definitely not Steve Jobs who built your iPhone. But he's whenever you think of Apple, you think you have Steve Jobs in your mind, and this is like, you see, this is a very strong narrative that's created around Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, the genius inventor in his garage, doing some stuff and then building this huge empire, coming up with all these interesting ideas. And this, of course, is a very problematic narrative. But it's strong and it works, and people take it, and yeah. So well, an interesting concept to look at when we talk about time, communication, and what did I say? Time, communication, and place is the concept of boundary spanning. So boundary spanning, anybody can be a boundary spanner. Boundary spanning basically means to connect, to work at the boundary of an organization. So it can be the whole organization, but it can also be a unit within an organization, and to basically connect, being able to connect the organization or yourself to new actors outside of the organization, to get ideas, to share ideas and things like that, but also to obtain resources. This is quite important. Information, resources, ideas.